Hello, dear friends. My name is Mary Terterov, and welcome to the Femme Fatale podcast by Helen. I am a mom, a wife, a litigation attorney, an aspiring author, and a friend to the creator of this podcast, Helen. Helen is a dynamic woman. She's broken multiple layers in the community, culturally, in the entrepreneurship world, and motherhood, and so many other things. And I'd like for her to introduce herself before we get started. And here she is.
Hi everyone and hi audience. Thank you so much for introducing me. So my name is Helen Zad and I'm an entrepreneur and I started with a couple of healthcare companies, and I think that my biggest achievement is give myself an identity, and this is what I'm the most proud of. And then as soon as I gave myself identity, I decided to create a show that is called Femme Fatale by Helen, because I want to talk about and go into details of how important it is to find ourselves, how important it is to be comfortable with ourselves. And then I called it Femme Fatale by Helen, and I'm so grateful that you're going to be introducing me, and this is our first episode. So
here we go.
So
Drum
here we
rolls,
go.
Please.
Woo!
Let's start from the beginning. Well, let me tell you first, the woman sitting in front of me has very sexy, short, blonde hair. She's very dynamic, wearing a yellow satin jumpsuit, high heels. But that's not really the beginning of her story. Helen's story began a little while ago, and she, at one point in her life, hard to believe, was wearing a hijab.
That is so true.
So I do want you to touch upon that.
Yeah.
You know, why were you wearing a hijab, and what does it mean to you now?
So if I want to go back to my life story, and then why I am here and why we are talking about all this subject here today, is because of what happened to me, and then how I translated all this information that have happened to me, and then through that I came up with new identity for myself. So what happened is, I'm born and raised in Iran, and one thing that I've been trained and learned and brainwashed is to be a good, submissive woman that follows direction, follows rule, never says no, is a perfect daughter for her mom and dad, a good citizen for the society, follows the rules without breaking them, and then sacrifice herself so other people can be happy. So if I do all of this and I never say no so everyone can make a decision for me, I'm a perfect child. By the time I realized that I became a victim of my upbringing, a victim of allowing other people brainwashing me, I realized this is not the life that I want. This is not the character that I want. I start seeing the world differently and realizing, just because everyone follow the directions, just because everyone follow the rules, not necessarily the rules are right, not necessarily the rules are correct, and not necessarily I'm a good person because I'm following all of those. And then, so with that being said, I start realizing the religion or the culture or the family laws that I'm following, they are nothing but a belief system that is embedded in my belief system. I made a character out of myself. So when I got into my arranged marriage at the age of 17, 18 years old, so my ex-husband family, they wanted me to be a modest girl. They want me to be a good wife. And then they brainwashed me into Islamic attire and covering myself to show what a modest woman I am, what a submissive, good person, girl that I am. So that's how my life started. And then, so this person that you see here is the outcome of lots of fight, difficulties, and breaking from all those ups and downs and obstacles to be able to find myself.
That's incredible. I want to touch upon education. My understanding is that in that culture, women are not allowed to get an education. Is that true?
So, in most of I want to say Middle Eastern countries with similar religion, majority of them is not. But the country that I came from, I want to say especially the big cities, woman gets educated, especially right now. But
back in your time, like if you went and told your dad, Mom, Dad, I want to go to school, I want to be a doctor, I want to be XYZ,
with their terms, under their terms, yes.
Which means what?
Which means is like I be their prisoner, not having a life, play, I don't know how to say it, like dress as what they want me, not having a boyfriend, not having an outside life. And then, yes, you're allowed to go to the school, and actually education is very, very important, but you need to play these rules. And if you can maintain these rules, then we will support you to go to the school. But if you break any of our rules here, then you cannot live in our house. Exactly. We won't pay for your bills. Then it's better for you to go get married because you're a wild child that you cannot, stay submissive at home or stay modest at home. So that was what was going on in my time.
When is the first time? Well, tell the audience what you got your education in the United States, because you came out here.
Yes. So I went back to the school around when I was 28 years old. And then, so magically, somehow, I ended up in nursing.
Wow. Okay.
Like, this is the part that I'm going to say, it's definitely like has something to do with my destiny. I don't know if destiny is like plays any part in our life.
Well, yeah, because I'm thinking now you nursed yourself back to life, and you became a nurse to kind of spread that.
True.
But why magically? Why do you mean magically? Is it because it was so unlikely since you were kept at home, you weren't allowed to speak English, drive a car, go to the bank?
Those are a very good subject that I should talk about all of those for sure. So, go back to what you said. So when I came to United States at the age 17, 18 years old, I was not able to drive for a good 10 years.
Not able, meaning you were not allowed. They said, naughty, Helen, you cannot drive.
Yes, exactly. For excuses.
Okay.
So many excuses.
Bullshit excuses. But let's tell the audience, because I'm not Iranian, and so maybe our audience wants a better idea. So how would you get around? Let's say you wanted to go to a coffee shop by yourself. They didn't allow you to drive. Do you walk? Are you supposed to ask for permission? Give us an idea.
You were not allowed to go to a coffee shop, and if you want to go to a coffee shop, you either go with your husband or you go with your mother-in-law.
Oh my God, that sounds miserable. Coffee shop with your mother-in-law.
But this culture is for either fanatic Muslim in Iran or super conservative people in Iran. We do back where I was growing up. Like we do have like 20-30% people in our culture that were way more modern, and like still 60-70% that are like more modest, practicing stuff like that. But I know Iran being changed so much, and I don't want to focus it like so much is like how the Iran is. I want to talk about how in Middle East what is expected from a woman, or like what is a good woman means even in their eyes, what a woman is worthy of being someone's wife.
Right.
So what woman is worthy of the father being proud of that daughter is a daughter that listens unconditionally to whatever they say and she never says no.
Absolutely.
That's how you get value. That's how you worth in that culture. Okay? So if you're opinionated, if you have strong opinion, if you say no and you want to go your way, you create your own things, is not something that is welcomed, to the culture and to the community. So with being so coming to United States, living an extreme life that's like I got so limited to just find myself. I was so limited to flourish as a young kid, as a young female, as a young woman. So like I didn't know how to save myself, and I just kept it, in for myself, that I thought, oh yes, maybe something is wrong with me. Maybe I'm not capable. Maybe I just need to be good. Maybe I need to be a good kid for my parents, because I don't have anyone to leave this family, and then where I'm gonna go. I don't have a job. My parents is not gonna support it if I want to go back to the Iran. And even, you know what, going back to the Iran was not even an option, because like, do I want to leave United States, go back to Iran? Hell no. So I decided to stay quiet and I just accept. So after 10 years passed, went back to the school, got my education in nursing. But when I went back to the school, one thing that have happened, it opened my eyes that there is a life out there.
Right.
You open my eyes that there is so many different opportunities out there. Like, which I can be, I can choose, I can feel. And then for sure, it was a time that I went through a very massive depression, because like I didn't know how to value myself. I didn't know even if I have a value. I didn't know if I worth anything beside like I follow rules very well. And then when I was in my depth of my depression, like it was like I became so numb. I became so numb that when my ex-husband was sitting and crying for how sinful I am, because I'm not praying as much as he wants, I am not fasting the whole 30 days, and then so what happens is like he's crying for my sins, which I have no friends. I never had boyfriend. I'm covered all the times. Like I haven't even, like I live in LA, but I don't even know where is Beverly Hills. So when I lived that life, I was sitting and thinking, what is my sin?
So it sounds like even though you gave in to all of their fanatic demands, it still wasn't enough.
Yeah.
That's what it sounds like to me.
Yeah, still wasn't enough.
Still wasn't enough.
Yeah. I was not covered enough. Especially because when I went back to the school, so like the outfit was getting loose. Like I want to tuck in my shirt. I don't want to wear baggy clothes. So these were conflicted. Like, or I want to take off my scarf, and like they were panicking. So it's like, I was turning into a really bad person. I was turning into a really, like a prostitute or a whore for them, So that's why when it was out of control for them. So that's why they will look at me as a sinner still.
So moving forward, you have built the Helen today that I know, that I've worked with, and that I've seen evolve for 10 years, has built a lot of companies and has taken up a lot of people with her to those heights. But I think that the thing you did the best was building yourself. I think you built a whole new version of yourself on your own terms, on your own time, and with your own resources. So here's the question. How did you do that? So because you started from ground zero where you were punished for not tucking in a shirt. And you're here now and you wear bikinis to the beach like everybody else, but it's still very new. What things did you do as far as self-care to get from there to here?
So definitely was a journey. It was a journey of how I grow, how I allow myself to tap in to different ideas, or allow myself to even accept the other ideas are perfectly fine or they're not fine, or trying them out to see which one even I like. Because not necessarily, you might go try something and you say, oh, you know what? Oh, well, what was this? I don't like this, or I don't want to be like this. But allowing myself to feel uncomfortable and come back out of it or move out of it, but allowing myself to go through those changes until I can find myself. So one thing, it was just freeing myself from how people are judging me. I remember the first 2 years, it was a very big suffering, because anything that I was doing, I remember thinking about, am I going to go to hell?
You were having this internal dialogue.
Internal dialogue of like, am I a good person or am I a bad person? Do I have value or I don't have values? Am I too much? Am I lovable? Am I right? What is right? What is wrong? So like, it was lots of challenges in my head until I got into before I want to go talking about my first life coach, I also want to say it was a couple of books that it had major effect on me. So I started with the book The Secret.
Yes.
And The Secret, I was like opening the doors of, like, I don't know, the Matrix, and say, look, there's another form of life exists out here which you're not aware of. And then through the book Secret, then I got introduced to Kevin Trudeau with the Your Wish is Your Command, and it taught me lots of basic of like, how is it I need to think, what is it that I need to think, like who should I surround myself with, like my thought process, how should it be formed, and like how I'm supposed to go to the next step of my life. So it gave me so many good key points that I was applying it on myself until I started getting life coaches and therapists, and replacing all those old belief system that I had with the new habits.
Yes.
With translating what is the word love means. What is the word self-love means? Like, what is the word worth means? Like, every single thing, I start finding a different set of definition for it, because I realize however I defined those vocabularies before, not necessarily they mean those meanings.
So did you start writing this? Because at this point, it's almost like you're a newborn baby as an adult,
Yeah.
of course, in this world, with fresh eyes, seeing everything for the first time, right?
Yeah.
And we'll get into like even dating. You literally were never exposed to the outside world. So my question is, when you're learning all these, the law of attraction, all these new concepts, are you writing it down? How were you internalizing it? Because we have to, it's like it's a learned process.
True.
Even now, every day I'm like relearning it. So how were you really ingraining it in your life? Were you writing in a journal?
Lots of writing, lots of thinking, lots of staying alone, lots of allowing myself to do something that is scary and being okay with it. Lots of allowing myself to be judged and being okay with it. So, lots of being in nature, facing with difficulties, and like, I think definitely had lots of part in like how I can transform myself. But one thing, I was in a mission of transforming myself. So I was very aware that I am transforming myself. It was a work. Like, it was like, I'm going to become a new person.
Sounds like it was 24 hours a day.
Yeah, it was a 24-hour a day, definitely. I knew everything that I believed. It was nothing but a belief system. It was nothing but a brainwash. It was nothing by being raised at a certain culture and country, and someone tells you this is right, this is wrong, this is what you do, and watching the TV and watching the people around myself and thinking this is normal, while all of this is normal in that society, and the normal is illusion, because if I was born and raised anywhere else, I will think that is normal. If I was born and raised in Israel, if I was born and raised in the United States, if I was born and raised in Africa, I will think those sets of belief system, those sets of day-to-day things that is expected from me, those are normal. So I realize, like the word normal that I was believed, it was nothing but an illusion, that I need to reframe it for myself, that I need to refine it for myself to see what is normal even means to me. Do I want to be normal?
Normal's boring.
Normal, like
We don't wanna be normal.
literally, normal became so boring to me. So it's like
Limiting, and it was so limiting.
it's so limiting. Because if I had to be normal, I need to blend in. If I had to be normal, like other people should approve or accept what I did or what I want. And then throughout the years, I realized I love you, but I don't care if you approve me or not.
Right.
I love you and I value you, but that doesn't mean I want to follow what you want me to follow.
Right.
You know?
Absolutely.
So after I freed myself that all the things, imagine all the things that we believe and we know, like it's someone else's idea.
Yeah, and you had to reverse engineer your entire existence, right? Because our brain, our critical brain is there, and you were like, since the day you were born, there in Iran, this is all you knew.
Yeah.
And this is all the people around you knew. And it's unbelievable that you completely flipped it around. That all sounds, beautiful and wonderful, but I'm sure there are hard days where, like everyone else, days that feel darker, where we slip away a little bit. How do you pull yourself out of that? Where like a day feels like I'm kind of slipping, I'm losing myself a little bit. What do you do?
The character that I decided to make myself 10 years ago, 9 years ago, I chose 4 or 5 characters. Like I chose like Oprah, I chose, I don't know, let's say Miley Cyrus, I chose a scientist, and I said, I want to be a combination of these 5.
Wow.
Okay.
That's interesting.
Okay. So
you're
like,
somewhere between Miley Cyrus and Oprah.
yes.
So if they had a baby, it would be Helen.
Yes. Like
Let's visualize that, listeners. Let's visualize that. Now you know what Helen looks like. But that's so smart. I've never thought of it that way. Wow. So you took their attributes.
I took a couple of characters that I looked at them as a role model, and like their lifestyle was so free, so meaningful, so empowering, so liberating. I took it and I said, I like what they do. Like, I like this girl because she's so sexual and so comfortable, so athletic. And I like her because she's so confident and she's so powerful. And like, each one of them had added a extra layer of self-development or like certain beliefs that it was so unique. And I wanted to be like them. So I took a role model. I took the examples, okay? It became a 24-hour a job for me.
Yeah, you studied these people. That's amazing.
Yes. And I'm like, how can I learn now to be like them? Okay? So to transform yourself, so first you need to know. Sometimes, at first I didn't know exactly who I was, so I had to find myself who I was. Because when, let's say, if you're this simple person and you want to change yourself, you want to become someone with confidence, you want to do public speaking, you will think, oh no, like I'm not strong like you, I'm not confident like you. You will think I was born with it, but I wasn't. I was the most shy. I was the most insecure. I was the most scared. I hate my voice and I hate my accent. Like, I would never thought I will open a podcast.
So what made you do it? I mean, by the way, your accent's amazing. In America, accents are very sexy, but
Thank you.
So how
But
did
these
you
are
overcome that?
insecurities.
Yes, but
These are insecurities that if we sit and, listen to other people, like they can define you, like they can find every negative things in you. And then, so are you going to buy into it?
Okay,
Or you're going to find your own like voice?
so I want to know, I want listeners to know. So you're thinking, for example, I have an accent, I'm from another country. This is your like critical brain talking. I haven't achieved that level in the English language, but I'm still gonna pull the trigger and open the podcast. So what gave you that courage that people can apply? We're sitting here on this couch, so you did it.
Yeah.
How did you overcome? Just take that accent portion.
Okay.
Like, what did you tell yourself in your brain to make yourself just do it?
First, I want to define myself what makes me truly happy. When I started my business journey, I was so alone. I was so alone with lots of insecurities. And then and I had no one to reach out to ask for help. It's like sometimes I just want to cry and I didn't know who to call and cry and say like, can you spend 2 hours time with me? Like, is there anyone who loves me? So I was very, very alone. So when I thought about what is it that I really, really love to do is I want to be there for the people that they lived like me. They felt they're so alone. They felt like they're not lovable. They felt like they have no support system. And I want to be that support for them and tell them, I did it and you can do it for yourself too. And you can become who you want to become and you can choose who you want to become. So for that purpose, and then I told myself, Helen, be who you are. Because I can't, like, yes, I know if I can go sit and practice as much as I want with, like, to fix my accent, I can become better. But I don't know if I 100% can get rid of it. But at the other thing, I don't have that much time because I'm so busy with my works. And it doesn't play now that much of just fixing my accent in order for me to have no accent is not that much of a priority to me anymore.
And it hasn't held you back in any
It
ventures.
didn't. It didn't.
So it's your critical brain.
Yeah. It was a critical brain that wants to bring me down.
Bring you down, but it's not going to happen.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Not you. And Helen, I have to say, you speak more languages than the average person in the United States. So hats off to you. I mean, that's just something, again, that I want to remind you. I want to remind you that you came to this country and you learned the English language as a second language, and you have a podcast.
Yeah.
That says a lot.
And then also I told myself, am I less of a person just because I don't speak perfect English? Someone might say yes, but how is it I think of it?
Right.
Because you might have an opinion about me is like, you sound horrible or awful. And so many people will have that. Yeah. Will have that opinion. But I need to sit here and says, okay, should I shut up because that person doesn't want me to, or should I do what I want to do? So I decided I'm going to do what I want to do because that person value system, it doesn't define me. That person point of view is not defining me. It's my point of view that is defining me. It's my strength that is defining me. Is what I want is defining me. So
absolutely. And now, okay, so what do you do now when we can't stop people from passing by in our lives? What do you do now when someone who is trying to define your value system enters into your life, whether it's in work?
Yeah, it happens.
How do you gently push them back? Do you aggressively push them back? What do you
I used to be aggressively pushing them back. I used to think because I had to fight to get my life back, and I felt like, oh, you fuck me, let me fuck you too. So now I don't have time. I don't have time. I don't want anything to be happening to you. I want you to find peace. I want you to find love so you can love everybody. Right. I don't want to even push you back. I just walk my own direction and I won't even remember you. Do I still get defined with so many things that sometimes is I like it, sometimes I don't like it. But this is what I tell myself. Sometimes I get hurt. I'm a human being. I'm a human being. Like, it's in my DNA. I do have emotions. Sometimes you might say something, and because I love you, I might get hurt. But then I go home and I evaluate and I like think about, am I really for example, let's say Helen, you're a bitch. Let's say. Like, am I really that? Am I really that person? Okay. If yes, do I want to change it, or do you like to stay like that?
Right.
Or if I like it, just to stay who you are and accept what you are, and just continue your life in your own lane. And if this is something that you want to improve, and then you can take it to consideration, maybe I want to change something. If other people view me as this type of person, now I just evaluated if I want to change that about myself or not. And I want to give you an example. Like in business, I'm very aggressive and anal. I want things perfectly. If someone says, oh my God, like you're so annoying because you want everything to be done so perfectly or perfect, you're a perfectionist. I don't want to change myself. This is my work, this is my creation, this is how I like to operate, and I want to operate the way. Does it make sense for you? I'm so sorry, it makes sense for me. It's my life. But so the certain things I'm not going to change it. But if I say something to you that it might be hurtful to you and it might be like too aggressive about your character, like of course I'm going to go work on myself to not have those kind of habits of hurting anyone. It's so important for me to make sure I don't hurt anyone's heart.
Oh, that's so beautiful. Let's switch gears a little bit. For listeners who are being introduced to Helen, I want you to know that Helen has a very powerful left brain, logical mind, running all this empire, and bringing in the dollars. She also has the very emotional, artistic side of her, and she paints. When she has time, she paints on huge canvases, sometimes nakedly paints, I'm sure, with some wine. But anyways, she paints. And it shows her artistry. And aside from that, I want to note that visually she's very fashion forward. And she's used fashion, I think, in a very creative way to represent herself. And I want to talk about that because coming from someone who had a uniform her whole life to someone who is really fashion forward, but not just in the sense of what's mainstream or popular. She's using her body as a canvas. And I want to know, just, in a lighthearted way, how has fashion helped you form yourself, at least on the outside, and make you feel better on the inside?
Interesting.
Is it something that's just super fun, that feels playful for your inner child?
That is, the way that you asked the question is really interesting because you touched a point that no one brought it to my attention before. Like, I lived a life that most of my life I was in a uniform.
Yeah, and your uniform had one color, I'm guessing dark.
And my uniform only had one color.
Solid colors.
Like navy blue or black.
Yep, dark solid colors.
Oh, wow.
Dark. And now you have beautiful glitter strands in the front of your hair. So,
yes.
All jokes aside, it means something. So tell me a little bit. What does this fashion bring you?
I think most of my life, when we had to look ourselves in the mirror, the look of the modesty, it was a look that was approved by society and my family in order to feel good. And then when I realized how much of that makes me disgusted and not allowed to express myself, it will added to my misery. Now when I look at myself in the mirror, I like to say, Helen, I love you. I love your fashion. I like that you love to wear the bright colors. I like that you like to dress provocatively. I like that you want to dress colorful and it just let it define you. My end goal definitely is going to fashion. And then actually very soon I'm gonna be wearing my own clothes that I'm designing.
Yes.
But I dress up for myself.
Tell me more about that. What does that mean?
This means if I'm like, you barely can see me finding me like I look like a mess. And the reason is I like to take care, like let's say if I'm at home and I want to do meditation at home and it's a Saturday or it's a Sunday, and what is my routine of feeling good? You know, getting up, washing my face, brushing my teeth, applying my skincare, do my hair. Like, when I look at myself in the mirror, do I look better with a messy hair? Or do I look better if my hair is like blow-dried, clean, like I took care of it?
Right.
So,
it's like having self-respect. And
yes,
feeling
I
it.
don't like to look frizzy. I don't like to look like I just rolled out of the bed. So it's how I like to treat myself. So it just makes me feel better.
Right.
And then, do I like to stay in my pajamas the whole day? I feel like my pajamas is only for the time I'm sleeping. Then I like to change it even to my house sexy pajamas, because I like to think sexy of myself, so it makes me feel better about myself. So even if I'm all alone at home.
Right.
So like I like to, when I look at myself in the mirror, I like to feel good.
Yes.
Okay? So for that reason, so every time when I dress up, even for bed, to sleep, to hang out at home with my puppies, to go to my dinners, there's a part of me that likes to look at myself, says, I love you. I love how colorful you are. I love that you can express yourself. So it's like part of me. And it's just very, I think it brings a very big light to my character and to my daily activities. It just, like, I come into office when I'm, like, the day that I'm more dressed up, I am way more productive. The days that I'm way more dressed up, I kill in my sales. So I'm like, let's get it going. Like, I'm in even a better mood. I go in, let's say I walked across the street for my lunch. Like, I say, hey everybody, I just go talk with everybody, compared to if I look like so messy and I'm like, oh, I'm such a mess. Let me just like run away. You know, it's like,
Absolutely.
and it feels different.
Yeah, and you know what? There was a study, I remember, I think in Canada, where they were evaluating people's depression, and they had put half the people in the study in homes with yellow or bright colored walls painted, and the other half with walls that were just plain. And somehow they concluded that people that were exposed to bright colors and in spaces like that were happier. It does something to your soul. It lifts you up. So I think that's so amazing.
Yeah, I agree. Definitely colors definitely light up your souls, for
Yes.
sure.